What's going on, everybody? This is Fry. So today I'm going to be going over some of the balance changes that the Bloons Card Storms devs have already introduced into the game. They say that these are going to be some balance changes when the game is released, and even just in the upcoming open beta that will be open for the public. So we're really looking forward to that. And let's go and take, the devs have been taking some feedback from the community, the people that participated in the pre-alpha, and have been making the adjustments based on that, and also based on the data that they got in terms of win rates and stuff like this. They are looking for some more feedback in terms of, were these nerfs or buffs good, the balance changes that they made, were they enough? And so let me know in the comment section below, of course, what you think in terms of, are these balance changes correct? So the first one, of course, is going to be Banana Farm. This was the most unbalanced card in the pre-alpha. So they went the route that I sort of did not want to see. They originally cost 3 and was going to give you 2 gold every turn. Now they just made it cost 1 more, 4, giving 2 gold per turn. I don't think this is going to necessarily take care of the problem of Banana Farm, just because, it's not it's not like right when you play Banana Farm, it's giving you too much immediate value. The problem that we saw with Banana Farm is, as the game progresses, you're playing a control deck and you're just gaining 2 gold every single turn. More than your opponent. It just ends up scaling out of control, especially because gold in Bloons Card Storm stacks. So just making this cost 1 more, it doesn't really change the turn you're able to play it. You're making 2 gold on your first turn, and then you're going to be making 3 gold the next turn. So it really didn't change the fact that you can still play this on turn 2 and get 2 gold. It's just a 1 gold difference. The only difference this would make is making an early Banana Farm development a little bit more susceptible to, let's say, aggro decks that's putting a lot of pressure and really spending their gold efficiently every single turn, putting Bloons on the board. You're going to have 1 less gold to, establish your other defensive monkeys and actually deal with them. I don't think this is going to make a big difference. I was thinking that if you wanted to give 2 gold per turn, it should at least cost 5. Maybe 6 would probably be too much, but like 5, because then at least you're 2 gold now behind of your, it's just taking away even more resources in order to deal with the opponents, and hopefully that'll open up a path for aggro decks to take advantage of Banana Farm. Really, what I think this should be, though, is keep the cost at 3 and just make it 1 gold per turn. That way it can be developed early, it can give you a little advantage, but it's not just, when the game's going to turn 10, that you're just completely overwhelming your opponent with the amount of gold that you're able to spend and just drawing cards. I really think I'd like to see this either at 3-1 or at 5-2. 4-2, I don't think it's going to make enough of a difference in the late games. All right, let's move on to Sniper Monkey. So they took some of these defensive early-ish game monkeys and gave them pretty strong buffs. This one went up has a 2 reload, costs 3, went up from 50 damage to 70 damage. That's a very significant buff. So you think about this doing about 35 damage on average per turn. It's a little bit interesting because, first of all, some of this damage can get wasted since it's a single target. You have to do 70 all to 1 balloon. If they only have a 50 on the board, that's 20 damage going to waste. I guess, though, that single target is probably better than AoE, than, splash damage. And we'll see that coming up with Boomerang Monkey in just a bit, because if they do have just 1 balloon on the board, so you want it to be single target, you want that to be a big shot to be able to take out that big, porcelain balloon or whatever they have. As opposed to an AoE, a lot of the damage would be wasted unless they have several balloons on the board. Do I think this is strong enough? Getting down to about 35 per turn, plus an initial, 70 shot right when it's played. I think this is getting close to where it should be. I probably would like to see this be more like 75. Just because if you think of Dart Monkey, which costs 1 less, is also doing 70 damage every 2 turns. I know that it has a disadvantage of not being able to shoot every single time it reloads, because in order to do the 70 damage, it needs to wait for the balloons to be incoming. Speaking about the tack shooter, tack shooter will have, again, 2 shots of 35 against incoming balloons, but also has the advantage of being anti-pink balloons and having that defensive ability. It probably is more of an advantage than a disadvantage at the end of the day, just because of how the game plays. I probably want to see this doing just because of the 3 cost doing a drop more. I think like 75, I'd be super happy with this, but this is pretty good. Definitely a huge improvement over the 50 damage it was doing. All right, Super Monkey. Everyone was complaining how underpowered this was. It used to do 60 damage and have a reload of 4, so 3 shots of 60. Now it's doing 3 shots of 75, so really a very significant buff. It's going to be doing 45 more damage. And then its reload speed is being decreased by 25% from 4 to 3. So having the 4 reload speed was a little bit ridiculous because it was almost impossible for it to actually reload and even use it one more time. So I feel like 3 makes sense. I don't think that this is enough different still from the sharpshooter that costs 1 more and basically does essentially 2 shots of 100. It does 80, 40, 40. So now this costs 8, and it does, instead of 80, 40, 40, it does 75, 75, 75, and then a little bit longer reload. I mean, I guess the longer reload and higher damage does differentiate it. It's also a little bit cheaper. This doing 75 on average per turn. The other sharpshooter will be doing 80 per turn, if you're just thinking of it like that. Sharpshooter being faster, this having longer reload speed. I really would like to see this be very, very different. You know, it's something I didn't mention, and I'm catching up with some of the Bloons lore and how Super Monkey even performed in other games. I really would like to see this as just an upgraded dart shooter. I think that would make sense. I think it would be very cool to have an 8-cost monkey that does this huge shot of 75 just one time every single turn. That's just able to bam, 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 sort of like being an upgraded dart monkey. And that would really differentiate it from, sharpshooter, in which has like a longer reload speed. This would be more of a rapid fire. Even if it was doing 70 damage, every single turn, that could be pretty significant and a very strong defensive piece that you can't take advantage of because it is attacking every single turn. It just seems like a complete rework of the mentality of Super Monkey would make a little more sense. All right, they also went to Crossbow Monkey, which was probably the worst monkey in the pre-alpha. It used to cost 5 and do 2 shots of 30 every 2 turns, so it was averaging 30 damage for a 5 cost, which was just ridiculous when you compared it to other monkeys that are even a lot cheaper. This one now, okay, so it costs 4, and its damage was buffed to 35. So again, it's 2 shots of 35 every 2 turns. So it's still going to be average. If I'm doing my math correct, it's still going to be 70 every 2 turns, so it's going to be 35 per turn at 4. I just think that, like, Sniper Monkey's also 35 per turn. The fact that it has 2 shots that you can differentiate, so you can put both of them into one, or you can kind of turn it into an AoE card and spray 2 different cards. I don't think that's ever going to justify the extra cost. And it's also just not different enough from Sniper Monkey. It's so similar. The fact that you can just split that 70 damage into 2. I'd love to see this stay at 5 since I haven't seen it. I mean, I guess there's going to be other defensive monkeys, but at least for the monkeys we've seen now, I'd like to see this at 5 and just get a ton of damage. Just get a lot, and that'll be sort of like a mix. You'll have options. It's not quite Super Monkey and Sharpshooter, but it's not going to be like some of, it's just too similar right now to Sniper Monkey to really have a good differentiation. Want to see more variety. Next, we got Boomerang. So Boomerang was probably a bit overpowered in the pre-alpha. It used to do 2 shots of 15 plus 15 per turn. So think of it as a 3-cost card doing 30 plus they're doing 60 per turn for a 3-cost card, which if you just compare the 60 per turn to everything else, this was a very, very strong card. So they reduced it now it's doing 25 plus 15, which is 40 and only getting 1 shot. So it went from 60 per turn to 40 per turn. This is a really, really huge nerf. Is 40 per turn about the right amount that you want this to be doing? For a 3-cost card, this was doing 35 at a single target. It's doing 40. I guess this sort of makes sense. It feels like this is basically where the balance lies in Boomerang.
Nerf clock zombie.
All right, here's probably the most interesting one on the list, is that this is a complete rework of Golden Bloon. This used to be only when it was completely popped do you gain, 3 gold. Now it's whenever it takes damage, you're just going to be gaining 1 gold. So playing this for 2 and even getting 1 back, for a 70 with a 2 reload is pretty good. The fact it stays on the board for a couple of turns, absorbing all your opponent's AoE, their powers and stuff. I think this is good for Golden Bloon. This makes it a little bit better against opposing monkeys and a little bit worse against your own Quincy, let's say shooting the Golden Bloon and popping it. It used to be a good way to kind of like, if they weaken this a little bit, then you're able to pop it and get the 3. But on the other hand, they really just can't do anything about the Golden Bloon. They basically have to let the 70 go face unless they want to start giving you a lot of extra gold every single turn. And if they're hitting it several times again, this card ends up being just free value and absorbing the opponent's resources. I like this card design a lot better. That's not when popped. I think this also does, if I am not mistaken, fits also with Golden Bloon from past games where it's giving that gold every single time it's hit, not necessarily just when it's popped. People are saying I did the math wrong on Boomerang. If it's between 25 and 15, it's going to do 40, not 50. 25 plus 15 is 40. Anyway. Yeah, I do like this. I do like this version of Golden Bloon. I think there might even be some opportunities when you're like Quincy to like shoot this once. I think if Gwen can burn his own balloons on fire, this would actually be super synergetic, because Gwen just has to shoot one time using his first ability to burn it, and then it'll take 30, and then 30, it's like several shots on the gold balloon. So that would actually even be more efficient if you're Gwen. Anyway, I like this card, and I'm really going to be interested to see how you can really use this card to either take advantage of free damage or of the gold gaining. The one card, and that's it. And then they just said, our team continues to work super hard. We'd love to hear your feedback. So let our community give their feedback. You can either come to Reddit or just leave in the comment section below and I'll relay it to them. The one card very strangely did not see on this list was Quick Ready, which after Banana Farm was easily the most overpowered oppressive card, being a 3 cost, make a balloon that has a 1, still has a delay, to just get rid of that delay and make it go face, especially because you can use a couple of them in a turn. Very surprised not to see Quick Ready at least get nerfed to like 4 costs. I really would like to see it at 5 costs. I feel like that would be probably the most balanced way. Anyway, a little bit changes. Let me know if you think that if there's something else that they really left out. The one that they also left out was Black Bloon, but again, they have already cleared up that Black Bloon is it was a misprint, and it will be drawing a card like Golden Bloon every single time. Sorry, it'll draw a card when it goes, not every time it's damaged, but Black Bloon will draw a card when it does go face. That was the card that I felt like needed a buff, which they've already addressed, so it's not going to be on this list. Anyway, that was all for now. I'll keep you guys informed about any more balance patches or Bloons Card Storm news, so make sure you subscribe to keep up with all that. I'll see you in the next one. Peace, this is Fry. Yeah, this is like an answer to Boomerang. It's kind of cool. It's like an AoE answer. I like it. As opposed to before, Boomerang really answered Golden Bloon, unless you were coming in and going to pop it at the end. That was just the strategy against this was just to weaken it down to 10 or 20 health, and then let it hit your face. But now that's not going to work anymore. This is like a really anti-AoE. I like it. Wonder if like running this in tandem with like red balloons, like you play red balloon, you play golden, you play red, you play golden, like that, and you get all this free value because they can't AoE anything. That could actually be really, really cool.